Ready to bring this table runner to life? Today we're quilting it, backing it, and binding it all in one go. So let's get started. Thanks for joining me for part 2 of putting this table runner together. We've completed our top and our backing, and now all we need to do is sandwich it together, quilt it, and then we're going to bind it. So things you will need today is your top and your back, and then a piece of batting. Now you can use cotton, polyester, fusible fleece, or any other fusible batting if you want to fuse it and iron it to keep it in place. But today I'm using this fleece. It's the Pelon fleece that's not fusible, the Thermal M Plus. And that's because it's all really I have on hand, and it's a really good batting. So we're going to go ahead and start by layering everything together. So I'll take all of this and put it aside, and I'm going to try to get as much as I can into my camera because I don't have a wide space here. But what you'll want to do is, if you've got your center panel, this is going to be the center of the back of your quilt, so the back of your runner. So you're going to want to fold it in half. And the way that I do this is just folding it in half so that I can get the center of the runner. And you can mark this with a pen, or just make a mark with a pencil or a marking tool, or just put a pen or a clip or something in it just to mark your middle. And I'll just clip it right there where I know it's going to be in the center. And then you can open up your backing. Okay, so I'm going to try to get as much as I can on here on camera. And I've done the same thing with my batting, folding it in half and marking it. So now I'll just line it up, centering it with the center here as well. Now your batting, you're going to, I forgot to tell you, for your batting you want to cut it, I've cut mine at 15 inches wide. I don't want it as wide as the backing, but I want it wider than the top, because so that when you put your top on here, your batting will be wider than the top, and when you go to quilt your runner, you'll have enough of it hanging out on the side so that if there's any shifting, it's not going to be too much. It's not going to mess up the alignment of your runner. So then you'll just continue to lay out your batting over your backing. Okay, and then that's when you will take your top and you will center it as well. Make sure you find the center of it. And I just put a crease in it where I've centered it. Pull it down a bit. And you just get it all nice and flat. And then here you can baste it with some basting spray if you want to keep it in place. I just use my quilting safety pins. They're like the ones that have the curve in them. And these are the 2-inch size. They do have a smaller size than this that you can purchase. And you can use either one. I've used both. So a lot of times whenever I run out of the larger ones, I'll use the smaller ones, or vice versa, depending on the project. And I just start right in the center here and start basting it. And then you can just put as many as you need. Wherever you feel like you need it so that it's not going to shift on you when you quilt. You just want to make sure that you're getting it through all the layers. So I'll just continue to go and put this through all along the top of the runner. And then I'll come back and we'll talk about the different ways you can quilt it. Okay, so I've basted everything down. I just wanted to show you so I could get as much of it on camera as possible so that you can see how I basted it. I just put one here on the end, on the triangle. Just put one right there and then slowly go over so you can see the rest. And I just like smooth it out like, with my hands before I put my pins in. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is quilt it. Now to quilt it, you can do any design if you want, that you like. If you're into free motion quilting, you can do free motion. You could do just a straight up and down, which is what I'm going to do. You could do even vertical if you wanted to, or a crosshatch. You're just going to go. It's easy to follow like the corners here. Just if you want to start like that, and then do a crosshatch straight quilting, and then you can come back and do it again the other way, or you could just leave it the one way. So there are many different options. And then when you get down to the triangle at the end, you could do the straight up and down here too if you want, but I'm going to do it a little bit different. I think I'm going to do straight stitching across this way, and I'll space it out probably 1.5 inches or 2 inches. And then when I get to the triangle, I'm going to cross hatch it. And I'm just going to go by, because the shape of the triangle here, go in and just put my lines like this. And then I'll come back and do it the other way. Just so the ends have like a little different look. Also, when I get to these little side strips that I put on the side of these blocks, I'll just follow the stitch, stitch in the ditch on these two, but continue doing my straight lines in between. Okay, so I'm going to take this to the machine to quilt, and you can use a walking foot for this. I would highly suggest that you use a walking foot if you have it. If not, if your sewing machine has the option that you can lift your regular foot up a little bit, sometimes that helps where it's not so much pressure on the quilt so that it'll go through any thicknesses that you have a lot easier. So that's an option if you don't have a walking foot. I'm just going to roll this up, and I'll probably start right in the middle. It'll be easier to just put it through the throat of my machine. So I'll start right in the middle, and then I'll go this way, and then I'll turn it and go in the opposite direction. But I'll try to get some of that on camera so that you can see that. Okay, so I've finished quilting the runner. And you see I just did some straight lines, and they're about 1.25 inches apart. You can do it as close or as far away as you need to. And then when I got to the strips here, I just went ahead and did like a stitch in the ditch on each side of it, and then continued with my lines here. And then on the ends, into the triangle shape, I did a crosshatch. I just went with the line of the shape of the triangle and just did it that way, and then came back and did it again the other way. Okay, so now we're going to bind. But before we do that, we need to cut away all of our excess batting. And you want to cut it as close to the edge here as you can without cutting into the backing. And you see here where when I was quilting, things shifted, you know, and it happens in quilting. But here I don't have that much room, and then here I've got a lot of excess. First, we're going to cut off this batting, and then I'll show you what to do next with the binding. It's okay that it's not that much on here because it's still going to work. I'm still going to be able to turn it, flip it, and use it for binding. Okay, so I'm going to use my scissors to cut the batting because I want to make sure that I'm cutting it close to the edge but not cutting into the backing part. So see if I can turn this. I'm just going to go in and then lift it up and cut off that excess. Just like that. Okay, I'm going to do that all the way around, and then I'll meet you back here to do the binding. Okay, so I've cut away all of my batting, and now I want to go and trim all of the backing to the size that I want it. I find that this size is just right. It's like 1.25 inches. I don't know if you can see that too good. So that whenever I fold it over, it's about, you know, 1/2 inch wide, and then you'll fold it over again over the edge here and then sew it down. So that makes a pretty good size binding right there. If you want it wider, you can, you know, cut it at a wider width if that's what you want. But I find this is perfect just like this. It makes about a 1/2 inch size binding, maybe a little bit smaller than that. And so when you do that, you fold it over, you'll do that all the way around, and then you'll clip it. I use these clips, are so great to hold it down. And then you can hand stitch to bind it, or you can machine bind it. I'm going to machine bind it. But first, I'm going to go ahead and go around and cut the rest of my backing down to this size. Just trimming it away with your scissors or your rotary cutter. And then I'll fold it over and clip it. And then when I get to the triangles, I'll show you how to fold your binding so that you can get a nice mitered points and corners right there. Okay? Okay, so I want to show you when you get to your triangle at the end, how to do your binding. So I've clipped it all along here on the side, and you'll just keep folding it over, and then you'll put your clip right at the end here. And so it's going to come over into this one right here, and you'll just do the same thing. You're just going to fold it in like this, and then fold it over, and that'll give you your little miter here. And then clip that so it stays. And then you just keep going across the triangle here, folding it and then clipping it. And then when you get to the point, it's just a little bit different than the other miter. You're going to take it, bring it up on the camera, and let it hang here like you did before. But now you're going to take your excess here, and you're going to fold it like this into the corner. And then you'll take this part and fold it up, and then fold it over again And that will give you a miter at the, hang on a second, just a second. Yeah, there we go. And then you see it comes together right here at the, and gives you that nice point. Then you can just clip that to hold it, and then continue on folding the same way you were folding the rest of your binding, and then clip it all the way around. And then when your machine, when you're sewing it down with your machine, you're just going to go right along that edge, like about 1/8 of an inch in, and sew all along that edge for your binding. Okay. Okay, so here we are. Here is our table runner. Okay, so I really hope you like this tutorial. If you do, give me a thumbs up and leave a comment on what you think. And if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. And if you have followed along with this tutorial, let me know how yours turned out. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye for now.